All right, we are back with another episode of The Buzz, and this one is a real special one. You probably think, oh, I say that for all of them, but this one is really special. We're here with Derek Winkley from Creative Culture. Man, they got so much awesome things going on. We can't wait to get into it. Derek, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Man, thank you for having me. Seriously, it's such an honor and a privilege to be on something like this and be and share a platform, and also just to be able to share, what the Lord is doing. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was watching a live that you did recently, and you guys touched on some really good stuff. So I have a
Yeah.
few of those. I wanna jump into. I'm not gonna go all the way there. They can go back and look at that live, but there's a few stuff. But like with anything else, we like to always start from the beginning. So God gave you, the vision for creative culture. So for anyone that is now looking at this, might never heard of creative culture, not
Yeah.
really sure what's going on there, kind of just level set for us a bit. Tell us what is creative culture, Cole, what is the vision behind that, and what are some things you guys are currently aiming to achieve?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Really, we started. So, creative culture is a collective of artists, and it's really funny now. I think we're trying to kind of focus in, but really started it from a place of just wanting to give a platform for people to share the gifts that the Lord gave them. So it wasn't like, man, I want to highlight these certain artists or like these certain people. I was just like, let's just get a group of friends together and create some music. And that's what we did. We started doing prayer rooms. So during the pandemic, I threw about two or three 24-hour prayer rooms, 3 p.m. to 3 p.m. from Friday to Saturday.
Oh
Uh,
wow, that's
yeah,
intense. That's
it
intense,
was
man.
intense, man. It was really intense, and so that's how we started. And
Mm-hmm.
then, like the fourth one, we recorded. I was just like, man, there's just so much good stuff that's happening in these moments. And honestly, dude, like between in the 24 hours, we would like have a family dinner. We'd eat a big breakfast. It was like a crazy
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
30 or 40 people getting together and just worshiping the Lord. Um, and so the fourth one, we recorded it, and I worked. I used to work at Reach Records, and
Oh, okay,
just
nice, nice.
yeah. I was traveling. I was a musician, producer, writer, and yeah, just doing a lot of work. And so I had a lot of connections within the industry. So I called a friend of mine at Integrity. I was like, dude, I feel like I have something that needs to be heard. And he was just like, let's roll with it. And so we signed a deal with Integrity January of 2021,
Mm,
and released our first record at the table March of that year.
wow.
And so, I mean, it was very organic, man. When I tell you, it was like really organic and just like, man, we're just going to create something that we feel like the Lord gave us
Yeah.
and run with it. And ever since then, the team's been building. We released another album in September of that year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and obviously now we're releasing this music, and so it's been just from an organic place and from a place where we feel like, man, the Lord has really called us into a certain space, whatever that
Yeah.
space is. So yeah.
But you see, you said, kind of dissecting a few things you mentioned there, right? You said it was birthed out of prayer. And I think that is like a key component, right? Anything that we're doing, in order for it to have clarity, in order for it to have longevity, it needs to be birthed, grounded, rooted solidly in prayers because things are going to be checked. Things are going to be
Yes.
tested. Turbulence is going to come. And if you're uncertain, and you got a lot of people depending on you, it's not gonna be
Yeah,
a good day. I'm just saying,
man.
like
Yeah.
you're gonna get a lot of hate mail.
Oh man, let me tell you. I tell I tell our people all the time, like, you know what? I never get credit when things go good, but I always get the blame when something
but
bad.
that's the job. That's the job of leadership, man. Like
Yeah,
who's
man.
that Derek person? But the
Yeah.
minute, yeah, I know Derek.
Yeah, man. No, but it's been such a sweet time, and like you said, it hasn't been perfect. I mean, we've had, there's been a lot of things coming
Yeah,
without
yeah.
having to say
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
Yeah.
There's just been a lot of things, but even just I text the group the other day, and I was just like, the fact that we're still here making music and like it's actually working is a good sign, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I mean, but even in that time frame, right? Because looking back, I was like, I'm scrolling back. I was like, oh wait, so 2020, 2021. Because so that first, I guess let me ask this question, because I did saw there was a project out there. It was more instrumental,
Yeah.
art, love, rest. So what was the story behind that? Because that was pre going with integrity, right? That was something
Yeah, it
y'all did
was
before.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know, I just, we always I have all these ideas circulating in my head, and so I just do it really. I'm a person that people have to say, "Hey, let's not do that right now." So
So
honestly,
there's never a shortage of ideas, basically.
yeah, just to be real with you, I sat in front of a keyboard for 30 minutes and I chopped it up in like 4 or 5
Oh
songs.
wow,
So, and I just put
wow.
it out. I was just like, you know what, this will do somebody some good at some point. And so
But it was
yeah,
so peaceful though, because even the
yeah,
names, that you called each piece, and I'm there, and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, this is just like you wanna meditate. You don't want to think about
man,
lyrics because sometimes, like you're
yeah,
meditating, you're praying, and someone might be on a vamp, they might be going up and down. You were just like, I just want to just meditate in this vibe. I
yeah,
just want to feel this, and it
man,
was really good because I'm going back and I'm just listening to and just enjoying that stillness, and I'm like, man, this is
yeah.
this is good. I
And
like
I
this. This is
appreciate
really
it. I
good.
appreciate it. I
And that was
appreciate it.
Art, Love, Rest. So you guys released that. You released that before. Then
Yeah.
you went with Integrity. So under Integrity, the first EP you guys released, was that the At the Table? That was the first one
Hmm.
you did with Integrity,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes,
And
sir.
at the table, so the fan favorite, it seems, on that one was Just Come. So tell us a bit about Just Come, because it's just like that's just a song that has been playing, it's on repeat, like you felt like
Yeah.
it just reached you where you are. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
so set that up for us. Talk to us a bit about Just Come. And
Man,
that's on the At the Table EP.
yeah. So before that, we did that. We recorded the prayer night,
Mm-hmm.
the worship that we were doing, and I just kind of chopped that up and I sent it to a few of the guys that were there, and I was like, hey, just write around this. Like let's write
Mm.
around what the Lord gave us in that
Yeah.
time, and so that's how all of those songs came
Oh,
about. Or
really? From the prayer
just
session?
yeah, from the prayer session. So
Wow.
like, "Name Is My Home" was a vamp, like, and then
Mm.
we wrote verses around literally the chorus. And so "Just Come" was a song that came later from a friend of mine named Ty Zachary. And so he presented this song, and I was like, dude, this is it. Like this is good. And then another friend of mine, Jonathan Trailer, who's featured on the song, I called him up. I was like, man, I got this song. We're doing this album. Can you come? And we'd be honored to have you be a part of it. And so he was like, man, absolutely. And so yeah, we got to do that song with him.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
So you were talking about At the Table. So At the Table, you mentioned a lot of that kind of birthed it out of the prayer session that you guys had. So what kind of gave you that idea in the midst of it? Like, hey, maybe I kind of want to just take this and translate this into an album. Like, when did you realize you wanted to go that route?
Yeah, man. I think it just really, again, it just came from just organically, like, man, these songs really was ministering to us, and so maybe
Mm-hmm.
it'll minister to someone else. Like they were all literally just like tags, and I think one
Yeah.
of the songs we put two tags together, but they were just all like so just spirit led,
Yeah.
and they ministered to us and came from a place of just Holy Spirit leading and guiding in that moment. And yeah,
But you see, that's one of the things. Because for anyone that has experienced, whether it's all night prayer or let's
yeah,
because like for me, I remember some of those days, because I'm from Guyana, South America, and I remember going into prayer meeting with my grandmother. I'm there thinking I'm going on vacation. She's like, "No, you're gonna come to church. We're going to prayer meeting
yeah,
tonight." And everyone is there, and they're just
yeah,
travailing. Some in the corner playing, someone on the keys, someone is just like, making some homemade instrument and they're shaking
Yeah.
it. But it's just like an organic vibe. And back then, no one is recording anything because you're not really
Yep.
thinking about that. But to be able to kind of just capture that essence, which in some sense
Yeah.
can be like you're capturing the heart of Christ because you're there, you're pouring it out, and then to be able to share that to others. So how did, once you now going to the table, you mentioned integrity, you're saying, hey, I think I got something here, let
Yeah.
me take a stab here and present
Yeah.
this. Like, what was that first meeting like?
Man. So shout out to Gilbert. Actually, he is, great friend of mine. We have a few mutual friends. And he just, I mean, the reason that I feel like the Lord gave us this opportunity, and that
Mm-hmm.
integrity is a part of that, is
Yeah.
because they just took a shot on us, man. Signed a
Wow.
deal with no music out, literally
Mm.
no album, no nothing. I only had a demo to show them, and so I think it was just a testament of the favor of the Lord that we
Yeah.
feel like it's on what we're doing. And man, it's been a grind. It's been so hard, but it's been so good to have that
Mm-hmm.
support. And so shout out Greg, everyone that is at Integrity, that helps us, that
Wow.
just really pushes us to
Yeah.
and allows us to express ourselves. I mean, and we'll talk about this later, but like
Yeah, yeah, and
every
that's what
everything,
you see,
every
you're right there with me because
yeah,
when we
yeah,
touch, we're gonna slide into, we're gonna transition into, Song of Heaven, but
yeah,
there's a shift that came from Song of Heaven to the new track that was released
yeah,
in 2022, which I
yeah,
can't wait to get into.
yeah, yeah,
You can see
yeah.
I'm trying to hold back before I jump into that. But
Yeah, no, man. Yeah,
Song
I
of
see
Heaven,
where.
set that up for us because Song of Heaven, Your
Yeah,
Way, one of the tracks on that was super popular, as well as Sound of Heaven track. I saw that's been streaming a lot when we were going through Spotify and all over it. So touch, when you finish with that first EP, the exact same year, you guys, went back in and released something else. Some people, they would take them a year or two to release the first project, but you guys released two in that first year. So what was
yeah,
that like?
man. Man, we're workaholics, man. We'll probably release 4 albums this year, honestly. I try to,
Wow.
uh, I try to do. Man, one of the things about, I think about and this is getting delving into just my personal thought process,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing about CCM, and that, or just Christian music period, that we lose the authenticity. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
feeling the same way that I felt a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
2 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
and like Kendrick Lamar will be feeling the way, and he'll put out a song right then
Yeah.
and there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that's what we want to do. We want to catch the essence of just creativity, and it's a lot of us too. And so I will say that as well. It's a lot of us, and so we just, I mean, and we're like, we're trying to put out music too.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
wait? Why wait?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why wait? But
So I'm with you with that, and I think we felt that right because kind of going back, because anytime I'm setting up the interview or discuss anyone, I like to just immerse myself in their music, even if I've listened to a
yeah,
few
yeah,
tracks here and there. So I went back. I started from the beginning with just vibing out with the first, Art, Love, Rest, and then I kind of moved into At the Table, and I'm listening to every track, going through. Same thing, Sound of Heaven, going through that, a lot of great songs, going through all of it. And then when we got to 2022 and I went ahead and I played Blackboard, I was like, oh, wait, hold up here. Yeah,
yeah,
whoa. Let's talk about it. So,
yeah,
definitely different shift. Definitely, like it snapped in. Yes, we were in Black History Month, and but it's just like listening to the words, listening to the essence behind it, the vibe, and then mixed it in with some CHH because there's that part there as well. Because as I'm
yeah.
playing it back even again today, I called over one of my daughter. I'm like, listen to this part here, listen to this part, and then he went and jumped it. I'm like, did you hear what he said? Let me rewind that back for you. So
Yeah.
just tell me, like, how exciting was it just from the writing process, the expression process, mixing it up with some CHH. Like, what was this one like for you?
Yeah, man. Honestly, so I always had like when I felt like the Lord gave me the idea for creative culture and for what we want to present to the world. Um, he just started giving me album ideas, right? And this was like
Mm-hmm.
one of them. Obviously, out the gate, you know, you sign to a label like Integrity. You want to
Yeah.
give them something that's palatable, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
But I always had this in mind, and even the way that the entire album is constructed, and I can't wait to. Maybe we should probably do a second one after the entire album is done
One hundred
because
percent. 100%. You're ahead of me. You're ahead of me.
because there's just it's going to be something that I feel like will resonate way deeper than
Mm-hmm.
honestly. And I even say this about Black Boy, like it'll resonate way deeper than like numbers, and like the impact is going to be way deeper
Yeah.
than what the numbers say. And obviously we want it to do well,
Mm-hmm.
and we want it to do as much as it can. But there's just some things that I experienced and we experience as a collective that we want to be able to share, and we want to be able to
Mm-hmm.
share our way too. And so this album, that song is really like, man, sound of this is the same. This is the sound of heaven too. You know. uh, so
Definitely being a voice, being that voice, being that expression for others, and kind of just even capturing that, right? So like for this song
yeah,
here, Black Boy, and who was the feature in that song?
a Klesso.
Akleso. So Black
Yeah,
Boy
yeah,
featuring Akleso again, dope CHH artist there. And talk to us like what was this song was written from what perspective? Like when you positioned yourself writing this song, like what's the mindset you're in? What are you
yeah.
feeling? You, the group in general, like what was that writing process like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this one was really for me going beyond like the thought of the collective, right? The thought of a collaborative effort. This
Mm-hmm.
is like, okay, let's really do that. Let's really pull in some friends. Let's really pull in people that can really have a voice for it. Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to create anything that's not authentic.
Yes.
And so I wanted to pull in some really authentic voices, and we wrote from that place. You know, my Bible says that we worship in spirit and in truth. You
Yeah.
know, and so
Mm-hmm.
and
That
so
truth part. Yeah. Uh-huh.
and where the spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom as well. And so we want to be able
Exactly.
to be free to tell the
Mm-hmm.
truth and worship from that place. And so we wrote, you know, I wrote the song in like 30 minutes because it was such
Really?
a deep.
That seems to be a
Yeah.
sweet number for you. I mean, I'll let you continue, but you are here composing tracks in 30 minutes. You released the first thing. Now you're writing this again. So,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to ask you
yeah,
for everyone that you've done in 30 minutes.
yeah.
We're gonna need like a like an EP that is just called 30-minute worship, and you just jump into there. Only the ones
Yeah,
you did in
man.
30 minutes will make
Yeah.
that cut. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, man. It was. I mean, it's such an authentic piece, right? Like every single word of that song, especially the first verse. I was on the first verse, and the Klessa was on the second verse. But
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the lyrics, every single word is very authentic.
Yes.
Every single word, like not there was not one word that was like left on the table, or like there was something that we just threw out. And so I mean, we want to be able to give that, and also we wanted to create something that felt pride or prideful. I don't want to say prideful, but that felt like giving pride or happiness or joy
Yeah. Yeah. Of
in the
course.
midst of because a lot of times you see honesty with anger,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or cynicism or bitterness. Anytime somebody speaks out, it's from a place of like anger. Shannon Sharp on Undisputed, he says, if you want to hear the truth, get a drunk person, a baby, or angry person. And so we didn't
Yeah.
want to be the angry. I didn't want to just spill another angry message. But
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to create something from a space of, man, we're just being honest. And we're coming to the table and starting conversation. And it's honestly worked out really well. I've gotten to connect with a few other people around
Mm-hmm.
that, and there's a lot of things that are in the works right now that we're working on. That
Just
yeah,
based on
yeah,
that vein. And then of course, this one here is not a deep question, but it's very simplistic. Is that beginning part? what I'm assuming that is French in the beginning, but what exactly is it that is being said?
Man, I wish I could tell you.
Listen, let me tell you the joke there because I have my daughter is next to me as we were going through, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play this back. I need you to use your Google Translate. You're gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and hit listen and play it, and it just wasn't picking it up. I'm like, what is going on
it's
here?
not,
So,
man. I've tried to. I've tried as well, man. When I was I produced the song, and I
mm-hmm.
was just kind of going through sounds I knew the vibe, like I already
Yeah,
knew, and then I
yeah,
heard that I was like, "Yo, this is crazy!" Like I gotta use it, and it's playing throughout the whole song. It could be
yeah.
saying something
Uh huh.
anti-Christ. Honestly, I would never know. But
But man, it was dope. It was dope. Like it
yeah,
just the feel with it,
it
and
gives
just
you, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It puts you in there, and you're like, man, this is it. And that you're
yeah,
going through, and then kind of I was mentioning at the top of the interview that you were on an IG live that I joined in on
yeah,
recently, and you guys were touching like on some really, really, deep stuff on that, in the vein of the single, or just, from a culture and a community. And I wouldn't say deep in the sense that you were reaching, because it's realistic. It's discussions
yeah,
that we're all having, as black and brown people, as individuals, that is going through a lot of different things. But I felt like when I'm listening back to that song, you know, you touched on very plainly, right? Like, hey, it's not about speaking from a place of anger or anything like that. But usually, a lot of times, one of the things you guys touched on there was about being a peacekeeper versus a peacemaker. And I
yeah.
feel as though sometimes, it's not always about shying and currying away, but it's also can be about, as you're speaking, and you're speaking in truth and you're speaking in peace. But I like that phrase when you were discussing about peacekeeper and peacemaker. So just touch a little bit on that if you can recap some of that conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that was the biggest thing for us. I feel like I read a lot of slave biographies.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of just black books, black written books.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Wright has a book actually called Black Boy that's really good. The soul of the black man, I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
But another good one. And it's just like there's a lot of things that you can that are overlooked, I would say, and man, we love worship. We love the Lord, right? We love what the Spirit does when He comes into a room, and we could just say He's worthy all day, and that is awesome. That is absolutely great, and it's absolutely needed. But I think when you think about how the Lord expressed Himself to us, and he could have written a book and said, "I'm worthy and I'm great," and it said, "Hey, this is all you got."
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. He gave us a book with stories. He
Yeah.
gave us a book with things that are great and things that are not so great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we really wanted to tap into that. We really want to continue to tap into that
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
we continue to create. Everybody doesn't know how good the Lord is. How great is our God? I don't know.
Yeah.
My life doesn't reflect that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not speaking personally, but
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, there are people that think that. And so we really wanted to create from a place of like, man, it's time not for the Christian to just keep the peace and go along with the
Mm-hmm.
program, because that's why our churches look like they look right now.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
we're so culturally motivated and culturally driven. You walk into a Target or a church, and you really can't tell the difference other than the fact that there's somebody speaking for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, man, we want to disrupt. We want to disrupt what's happening. We want to like be a peacemaker. You have to
Yeah.
make it. You have to create it. The Lord
Exactly.
came and He created. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, but the Lord came and He
Yeah.
created a space for us to. He had to do really bad things, even to going on the cross.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Flipping
course.
tables and
Yeah.
all of
Mm-hmm.
everything that He said to the Pharisees. I mean, He called them snakes. Like He called them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
your dad is the devil. That's what He told the Pharisees. And so it wasn't
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it wasn't kumbaya all the time. Not that that's bad, but
Yeah. And I'm with you with that too, right? Because again, when you're going through some of those discussions, because I feel like there's, yes, to be able to get these things out. And a lot of times, during the, I would say, during, Black History Month, there's a lot of conservative efforts that goes through, that talks about different things, but it's just coming out of that for a second. There are just certain discussions that us as, as black and brown people, as, as minorities, but more importantly too, it's just certain discussions that we have to have off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, for
Yeah.
if you have kids, like, I have 4 kids, I have two
Yep.
sons, you know and at some point, once they're starting to go out there in society and they're getting older, like way early on, I had to have to talk.
Yeah.
You mentioned to
Absolutely.
talk to someone else, they're like, what's the talk, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, they don't
Yeah.
have to prep your kids to say, hey, if you ever get stopped by a police officer, here are the things you need to do. This is what you need not to do. Here's how you need
Yep.
to react, just to ensure they can make it back home. Same thing to, prepping them, explaining to them, yes, this is what racism is, this is what classism is, this is what
Yep.
colorism is. These are some things that you're going to encounter. And it seems
Yep.
kind of cynical even saying that. It's like, not to say, hey, there's all, only bad people out there, but it's just natural preparation. While there's other things
Yeah.
you can teach them,
Absolutely.
hey, this is how you play basketball, but oh, by the way, when
Yeah.
someone comes to you and they say these things, this is how you shouldn't take it, because you're bigger than that, and this is why, and continually building them up. So I think to be able to not separate these things, even in
Yeah.
music, in Christianity, but just having the tough decision, the discussions, and to be able to also create and release from that. That's why I'm
Yep.
so waiting to see what, the new album coming up, we're gonna get into Let Freedom Reign. But I think even from the cover art to everything else, like, it just seems
Yeah.
like a very intentional push
Very.
that
It's
is just strategically
yeah.
aligned just to bring about that awakening. So just kind of tell us, like, the journey that the entire team had to kind of take on while you're going with that process, just to even get to where you're hoping to get to with the new album. So kind of, again,
Yeah.
I just mentioned it, but the new album coming out, let us know when the album is coming out.
Yeah.
What are some of the tracks there, like, what is that process that you guys are currently on, just getting there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the album is turned in, finished, and we turn in our stuff early to Integrity, but man,
Mm-hmm.
they've been super supportive, honestly,
Wow.
and I mean, they heard it and they were like, man, this is, yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not opening the door, you're kicking it down,
Oh
which I
man.
love, though, But I think as believers, because if you look at society, they're always talking about things, and as believers, we shy away from conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
Mm-hmm.
want to lead a conversation as a believer, as a
Yes.
Christian. I want to be a major voice in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we're always reacting to what the world is doing instead of being able to respond
But
and
we're the
have a
light,
good.
right? So if you're the light, you're not
We're
supposed to
the
hide it under
light.
the bushel, right? Like,
Yeah,
you can't do that.
yeah. And I will tell you this too, because there's a line that says at the end of the day, when you look at my face, if they saw Jesus as a carpenter his whole life, they don't see you no different than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I think that we have to really look at that and really talk about, man, it's real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we
Yeah. Yeah.
we we're invited to the conference for different reasons
Mm-hmm.
than
Mm-hmm. No, no,
you
I'm with you, and that's why I'm saying, like, it's like there's just like a checklist of discussions and stuff that you just have to have. You can try to hold back on it and decide when you want to have those discussions, but it's like you still have to have those discussions, right? And you
absolutely.
have to have them. You have them in love. You have them in, in just natural Christian way of having discussions. But it's like these things need to be happening. I think for not necessarily saying you guys are only a CCM group, but a collective. But at the same time, like, when you're seeing, like, you different type of music that's being birthed out of our collective, and that's just coming from there, and it's being able to just touch on topical stuff, because I'm always a big fan of I can listen to music for music, but at the same time, if everything else is around you is burning down and there's like massive chaos in society, and you're just listening to music for music, you're going to gravitate to those that are seeing what's going on, those that are
Yeah.
sensitive of the time, and those that are taking their place in laying out and allowing people to express themselves, deal with certain things that's happening right now. And I feel like you guys are really onto something here. So the just take us back to the artwork for the new album that's coming up. I mean, just the
Yeah.
artwork. I'm a big fan of the symbolism, the
Oh
artwork,
yeah,
the
it's a lot.
album
It's
name.
a lot.
So tell us about the
Yeah.
artwork, the album name. Like, what are some? I'm sure eventually, once everyone listens to it, we're gonna be able to extrapolate. But
Yeah.
there's a lot going on there. So
It
talk to
is.
us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the artwork was a very strategic thing, and if you guys haven't seen, go to our Instagram, link in our bio, click it, and you'll be able to see. I'm pretty sure we actually have the artwork on our page, but go to the link, pre-order the album, pre-save it, Spotify. Let Freedom Reign, March 18th. That specific artwork, right? Let Freedom Reign obviously is from the Martin Luther King's Let Freedom Ring speech,
Mm-hmm.
and reigning. We do have a track in the album that really explains everything that we thought of when we came up with the name. But raining is a different thing than ringing, and I don't want to steal the thunder of that track.
Yeah, yeah.
But a ring is like a sound of an alarm. Like when you hear a bell ring, it's like, man, there's something coming. Uh, we want to take it a step further and say it's time to let freedom reign now. Like
Mm.
Holy Spirit has to come and change things, and when something reigns, everything else is under that sovereign authority,
Yeah.
that rule. Like it's not just a notion, it's not just an alarm, it's not just an awakening or a cry. It is
Mm-hmm.
full. If we want to use a really church word, it's a full revival.
Come on, come
it's
on,
it's
revival, come on,
yeah, it's
revival.
but I don't even want
Yeah.
to use that word because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it lessens the blow of
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we really are trying to accomplish. It's a full reformation. It's a
Mm-hmm.
full turning away. It's a full repentance. It's
Yeah.
a full like, man, we have to let freedom reign in our lives in order for
Mm-hmm.
things to happen. And so that's the name. And the artwork, we wanted to use Martin Luther King, obviously, and there's some other different African art pieces that are in,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah. I
his
saw that.
hair and what's coming
Mm-hmm.
out of his
Mm-hmm.
mouth.
Yes, yeah. Powerful.
Uh, yeah, the music, and it's an African art piece, and then we have the doves there, which is also a part of a African art piece, but it's also a symbolization of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just not that we're opening our mouths to be irritants, but
Mm-hmm.
we want to really say something that brings about unity and peace together. And then we strategically place blue eyes on Martin Luther King, because we're really not heard unless we speak a certain way or look a certain way. Like the
Yeah.
culture doesn't really hear black people unless they look or talk or act white,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so we made his eyes blue because we wanted to say, hey, like, you need to listen to us,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it's a metaphor of like Jesus's eyes weren't blue. Like Jesus wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
blue-eyed white guy.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King isn't either. We're not
Yeah.
either. And so it's really symbolic of like, this is what culture depicts us as, you know.
No, no, and I think and that's why, because I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out certain parts, and I know there had to have been a lot that went into, because for starters, even taking on a project such as this, like, I'm just gonna say it, a project like this might not be a project for everyone, and just taking on that stance alone to know, hey, for the last year, everything that we've released, a subset of following and so forth might just be so used to this. And then when we going ahead and say we're going to release this now, there's, yes, you're thinking, you're taking a risk, you're taking a chance, but also, like, you guys know the call that you've had and
Yep.
what you're called to be the voice of. So I'm sure there was a lot of discussions amongst the team, like, hey, so, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we need to make sure everyone is on board as we are doing this. So I'm sure that in and of itself, like, whatever you can touch on, but like, what's that feeling that you kind of have right now, knowing like, hey, I'm going to release this, but it might not be something for everyone, but I know what I'm feeling, what God is saying, and we still have to go ahead and release this.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's a really a decision of, do you want to be impactful, or do you want to just be busy? Do you want to just make
Mm,
music to make
I
music?
like that. I like that.
Or do you want to be impactful? And I think that we want to always choose impact,
Yeah.
and influence over just like another record.
Mm-hmm.
And we really want to speak from a very honest place. And I think that's
Yeah.
what, again, and not to say like we're trying to be rappers or anything, but I think that's the difference between Kendrick Lamar, or someone else, and Chris Tomlin, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's being really honest and really open. If you listen to J. Cole, you'll know a lot about him. If you
Yeah.
listen to every Chris Tomlin record, like, you don't know anything about Chris
Mm-hmm.
Tomlin, and
Mm-hmm.
not that that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that we want to create a space where we can be real, and be honest, and say, man, that is worship. And so, yeah, and the album is like very, it's not even just all Black Boy either. It's like there's a lot of different elements and a lot of different things that have influenced my life, that have influenced everyone that worked on the album. We all just came together and was us. We got to be us.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
But I think too, right? That's when you know you're at the right place, right? Because
yeah,
again, I've spoken to many of artists, might not have been on live or on a recorded format, but I've been, told like, hey, I had this awesome idea, but the label kind of just shut it down. They put it in the box for the last 5 years and kind of waited me out. And then I had this thing I wanted to do, but then this thing got shut down. But to know that you're at a place where ideas are supported, ideas are pushed, and and you have that backing, then that definitely know like, hey, I'm doing something right, we're doing something right. It's
yeah,
definitely God in it, because I'm in a strong persuasion that if you're doing something and everyone else is in disagreement, but you're the
yeah,
only one that is hearing that,
yeah.
that's not God, because God don't
Yeah,
just
that's
speak to
not the
one
Lord,
person.
man. Man, and
He
honestly,
doesn't.
that's the crazy thing, man. Like, everybody, that the way that this album came together is
Mm-hmm.
like, man, there's no possible way. Even when I presented it to the label, I was like, they're not gonna release this. Like, they're gonna say, honestly, I really did. I really thought that. But
Yeah.
like you said, man, there's such a grace on it.
Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah, I'm really excited for what the Lord is continuing to do. Because the album is crazy, man. The album is so crazy.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. And and one of the things also, kind of going back, it just came back to me again. One of the things you guys were discussing, on one of the on that discussion you guys were having on the live, is that what does it mean to be free, right? Like, what does freedom really means? And again, with the
Yeah,
title, let freedom reign, you guys can go ahead, you can pre-save and pre-order it right now on Spotify and Apple Music. But just kind of just tell us, even going into the space of freedom and understanding, again, in this country, the word freedom has, has a lot of connotation, because a lot that's
yeah,
happened since
yeah,
slavery, that happened, even during the Reconstruction, era. Because again, that's something I felt too, that while there was freedom there, and then a lot got taken back during that process, but just even
yep,
freedom also in Christ and just in general. So just tell us,
yeah,
like, what
yeah,
does freedom mean to you? Because it means something to everyone, but what does freedom mean to you?
yeah. No, absolutely. And I think it starts there, right, where the Spirit of the Lord is. There's freedom. Um, and I think that we have to start there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything that allows you to be free will start to become a selfish way to obtain the world's wealth, right? So if
Mm.
you have to start at at freedom in the
Yeah.
spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and that will release you into the right way to freedom, right? Like Romans, I think it's 8, but it says, there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. That is freedom, man. I can do what I want, but if that's not rooted and grounded in Holy Spirit, then you're gonna go take that and just run wild. But that's not
Yeah.
that's not the spirit of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Holy Spirit. And so I think for me, freedom is saying, man, I have Holy Spirit inside of me to be able to express myself, to
Yeah.
be able to live a life that has purpose and meaning behind it, and to be able to be honest in that without being cynical, without being bitter, without being angry, without being selfish.
Yeah.
And if I say something, it's always pointing back to me. No, I want to be honest for the Lord's sake. I want to John 17, Lord, glorify your son so that you may be glorified in him. And
Yes.
so that's like what I feel like that's what freedom is for me. I don't want to have to walk into a space and change the way that I talk or the way that I act or dress or or my music or my creativity. I don't want to ever. And honestly, I make people mad sometimes because they call me to do things, and I'm like, and they want me to do it a certain way. I'm like, well, don't call me.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you
Yeah.
want me, you're gonna get. If you call me, you're gonna get 100% me.
Yeah. 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 No, I'm with you, and I think that's the part where, as you grow in the Lord, right? And as you grow in confidence and as you just kind of just grow in your gifting, right? Because Christ has given each of us giftings, and we
Yep.
have to just understand, like, hey, when we offer that back up to Him, we're not leaning on our own understanding, right?
Yep.
We're not leaning on what we're doing, like, we're just operating on His behalf, like, hey, this is His gifting, this is His time that he's afforded us to, we're just here for a
Absolutely.
limited time. And I think after 20, and that's why my perspective has shifted greatly, because after 2020 and seeing so much loss and seeing
Yes.
so much that have happened, I'm like, there's no way any of us should go back to just
Yeah.
being meek and just getting
Yeah.
along and
Yeah.
just doing it for doing its sake. Be like, no, today, tomorrow, you can be snatched out of here.
You
And
could
do
be
you really
gone.
want to just be? No,
Yeah.
like, if I'm
Yeah.
gonna show up, I'm gonna show up. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
another person who's gonna show up. I'm gonna show
Yeah.
up, and
Yeah.
that's just what it's
Yeah.
gonna be. And you gotta just live in that freedom, because again, who the Son is set free, right?
It's
It's free.
free.
It's free indeed. It did. Who
Yeah.
the Son is first free. It's not shackled. You know.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. And I think it really like shows the what the Imago Dei is.
Mm,
We're created in the image of the Lord, right? And
yes.
so if
Yes.
you are trying to be someone else, you're literally telling the Lord how you
Mm,
created me is not enough.
wow. Jeez. Hold on. Hold on. Say that again. Say that again. Run that back again.
uh, uh, it might not be perfect, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that when we show up and try to be someone
Yeah.
else, we're telling our Creator, what you created was not
Mm,
enough for me.
yes.
So I have to go put on something else. I have to go try to
Wow.
be somebody else because
Mm-hmm.
the person that you made me is not good enough. And I just don't want to do that, man. I want to honor the Lord with my life, with all of my life. I want to honor him with every single thing that he's given in me. Someone asked me the other day, what do you feel like you bring to the table? And we're talking some things that we want to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, man, my mind, my brain, my
Yeah.
ideas. It's like you have to be walking so boldly in the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jesus walks into the temple, reads Isaiah, puts it down, and says, "That's me." Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. Like you
No,
couldn't
no, no.
even.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
you know,
You gotta be driven, man, because you see the shirt. I don't know if you see the shirt, man.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
listen, man.
yeah,
You gotta
man.
be driven, man.
You
Like,
have
let's just
you
let's
have
just
to
get
be.
all that is there. Like every
Yeah,
single
yeah,
thing, man. And I'm
yeah,
super, super excited for what you guys have been doing. For the short time that I've been following you guys, because it's like one of the things that I'm going through, and I'm looking for music for my Spotify playlist, and I'm looking for music to highlight, because every Monday we release the trending music from everything that we've
yeah.
been seeing out there, for on IG, and we release different, snippets just to highlight, there's a lot of great artists out there. So the one that have caught
Absolutely.
our attention, and when we saw that, like, I kind of paused. I'm like, whoa, this track is something. And I'm forwarding it around to people. I'm sending it to my designers. I'm sending
Yeah,
it to a few others. I'm like, whatever you're editing and doing for this week, let's get this in there. I don't care if it's Sunday night. You got to do this at 3 a.m. your time, but
Yeah,
we gotta get this in there. And it's
yeah,
just been
man.
I've just been playing it back. I'm playing it back, and I feel like it's such an accurate representation. Like it depicts it, and it's like it's a song that you can really just vibe out to. But more than that, like it has meaning, it has
Yeah,
substance, and listen to the song Black Boy, and then just following you guys along and just looking at everything, interviews that I've seen that you have, and the discussions that is put forward. There's definitely a level of authenticity that is there. It's a level of, hey, we want to be able to be that voice that can have that discussion and create that safe space, but also bring substantive information to the table. And I think you guys are onto something, man. Definitely keep with the direction that you're going with this, because we're super excited. Everyone on my side on the team is
man.
super excited for this project to drop. Let freedom reign. We can't wait to see what's
Yeah.
gonna be happening here, man. So tell us. So, and I'm sure there's some collaboration that is already there. You guys released the track list, and everyone is able to pre-order and pre-save. So touch on some of the collaborations and just what style of music can we expect from this project?
Man, yeah. So we just got with a group of friends, and man, everyone, like you said, when you're doing something that is really spirit led, people
Yeah.
will be in agreement,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's what it was. I was in Atlanta, I think last year, in the studio with Tadashi, and he was like, "Man, you got some new stuff," and I showed him the track that actually we're releasing Friday,
Yeah.
called "Breathe." So
Mm.
everyone go listen to that.
Come.
But
Nice.
it yeah, so that's kind of how he got the feature on it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went to Nashville and wrote with Liz Weiss,
Wow.
Jasmine
Okay.
Sullivan, Zandy Mowry, which they're on the new Respects.
Yeah.
um and we wrote another track called Be Okay. We
Mm.
also wrote another track called Holy. And then the other tracks, Black Boy, I did here. I'm actually in Denver right now, but
So
I
you're
did
based out in
here.
Denver.
Yeah. I
Okay.
actually just came out here, and but from Dallas, so that's my
Oh wow.
hometown. That's
Okay.
my roots.
That's a
Yeah,
that's a shift. That's a shift.
yeah. But you can think a little bit clearer a little bit, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, no. So I mean, it was really just organic. Another friend of mine, Ryan Brockington, who's bookend in the album. He's on the first track and the
Okay.
last one. Man. And then Shy Speaks as
Yeah.
well. She's a poet, a spoken wordsman, an artist, and she's just an incredible person. And I wanted to really represent my city, Dallas,
Yeah.
but I also wanted to represent our culture as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got a little bit of LA, New York, Nashville, Atlanta, Dallas, everybody
Nice.
coming together, and just creating something that we feel like is very free and very fresh, very honest, but also very uplifting too. The,
Mm-hmm.
the the album really ends in a very sweet way. I
Nice.
feel like it's a very prophetic piece. Like, I mean, you read Isaiah in the beginning is like harsh and like, you
Mm-hmm.
guys suck,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then it ends really sweet, like with the restoration of Israel and
Yeah.
Zion,
Mm-hmm.
and all those things. And so that's kind of how this album is. Like the start is really rough. Like, you're like, whoa, you kicked in the face. But by the time you end it, it's really sweet, and like there's just
Wow.
like a very sweet moment where I feel like people will be encountered by the Lord by the end of the album.
Yes. That's great, man. And again, when you're kind of going through it, this this meme came back to me where someone said, if you skip through, if you listen to an album on shuffle, you're a menace, right? They're like, someone said that. I don't remember who it was, but they were like,
Yeah,
if you listen to an album on shuffle, you're a straight up menace. So when this
yeah,
album released, you guys,
yeah,
they took time into curating, and that's the thing I love
yeah,
about track list, because I know the time and the energy that
yeah,
went into just creating that experience and creating that flow. So you're taking someone on a lyrical, on a musical journey. So guys, make sure you don't skip anything. Listen to it from the top down. Like
Listen,
just don't.
and it's 15 minutes long.
So
It's a
don't.
drive, you know.
I mean, if you can listen to Kanye, 42
Yeah,
tracks in one sitting, you
man,
can
yeah.
listen to this.
Yeah, this is, but this honestly, I really believe that this will be an album on repeat. I really do feel that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
It's 15 minutes long. There,
Mm-hmm.
every song is like 3 minutes, even less, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then the message, the way that the track speaks, or the way the album speaks,
Yeah.
the messaging behind each song, I'm telling you, you will be gripped. You will be gripped.
Definitely, man. Listen, Derek, like you said before, man, we have to get you back once this
Yeah,
album is dropped and you
yeah,
guys are doing press and everything. Definitely, keep us in mind. We want to make sure you come back once we've gotten an opportunity to really just dive in to the album come March 18th. So, just kind of just tell us as well. I know there's a few things that's coming up. There's Stella Awards that's coming up, and there's a few others. Do you guys plan to go down to Atlanta for that? Like, what are some of the events you guys have lined up? Once the album dropped, is there any tours? Is there like what can we expect if people wanted to meet up and just follow you guys? Like, kind of set that up for us.
yeah. Well, one man, if you want to see us live, anybody that's watching wants to see us live, um, go to our website, and we love to come out and do shows. We're planning to go to the Stellars. We're planning to do a few one nights, if you will, just
Okay.
the album, playing it live.
Mm.
And then we're also working on our next record as well. And so
Wow,
it'll be,
you guys are
it'll,
just straight up
yeah,
workaholics. You guys just get putting in
yeah,
that work, man.
yeah. We don't stop, man. We don't stop, man. But yeah, it's really good, man. Seriously, go follow Instagram, go to our website, just follow us, and just be of support.
And
Be
what's
of
your ad
be of
handle? What's your guys'
uh,
handle on Instagram and socials?
creative culture company.
Okay, Creative Culture
Yeah,
Company. Just look that
yeah,
up. Okay.
yeah. And so yeah, man. We want to create something for the people. We want to create something for our people. We want to create something for the Christian community, but we also
Mm-hmm.
want to create something for the world. We're working on a lot of different things and connecting with a lot of really cool people, that we're gonna be able to get our dreams out this year, I feel.
That's amazing, man. And we definitely will also be keeping you guys in prayer as well as you
Yeah,
download and as you stream also, just pray for them, cover them because
absolutely.
when I read the mission that says, our mission is to unify community, dignify people and glorify God. I mean,
Yep.
why wouldn't you want to support something like that? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
Y'all just go out
yeah,
there, whatever music they have there,
yeah.
just buy it, whatever is there. They got some merch already. So talk to us about the merch. Like people want to support you guys outside of the music. Like how are the ways can they support what you guys are doing?
Yeah, man. Honestly, come out to the shows. Request us on radio.
Mm.
We're trying to put together a tour with some really special artists right now. And so, man, just we want to be number one on Billboard. That's like
Yeah, yeah.
continue to stream. As we get creative, creativity out, and
Mm-hmm.
just support it.
Yeah,
I tell people
yeah.
all the time, listening to music is free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, and the merch as well. But really, we really want to do a tour this year, and so
Awesome.
if we can get people to say, man, I want to come out and see creative culture, that'll be awesome.
Awesome. Listen, man, Derek, I appreciate you finding time to, for us to make this happen. We definitely love the music. We love the message. We just love what you guys are doing. Can't wait to talk to you again. Can't wait to chop it up. We are also planning to be out there in the Stella weekend to do some press. So definitely you
Awesome,
guys are out
awesome.
there. I'll be making sure that, we at least meet up in person, shake your
Yeah,
hands, see
yeah,
you guys out there for sure. But definitely keep pushing. We are excited about the new project that's coming up, and thank you for being with us again today.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem.